Welcome to the You Need More Money podcast. I'm your host, Matt Manero, as always, coming to you from our studios in Dallas, Texas. If you're listening to this and you haven't subscribed, do me a favor, subscribe to the podcast. You can do it on YouTube, you can do it on iTunes, you can do it on Stitcher, you can do it on Google Play. It means a lot if you take the time to subscribe and like and share and help us grow the audience. It's important for us. We think the messaging is very, very important. We like the process that we have. We like the quality we put out. And we'd like more people to hear it. But you should listen to me, because I know what I'm talking about when it comes to business and when it comes to money. I mean, I started from zero, and I was able to get myself out of broke and get myself into accumulation mode, and in some people's mind, maybe rich. But I'm still working in accumulation mode. You'll learn more about that in my book that comes out in March of 2018 called Guess What? You Need More Money. But one of the things that I missed for so many years was the importance of scaling my business. There is no pride, there is no worth in a one-man or one-woman business. Boy, that must be hard for some people to hear, but it's easy for me to say. You can't get rich doing it that way. You have to scale your business. Now, what if you work for somebody? How do you scale it? You have to scale your business. In other words, you need to bring on more skills and more value to get paid more. I mean, I'll never forget. Listen, the first 10 years, I've been in business 22 years. The company does well over $100 million a year. For the first 10 years, it was literally nothing but just survival mode for me. And when I look back on why was it survival mode, most of it was connected because I didn't understand scale. The idea of having a larger business wasn't something that I was focused on. I was just focused on how do we pay the bills and how do I make a decent living for my wife, Rocky, and my 3 boys, John, Jack, and Julian. How do I do that? And because of that mindset, I wasted a decade of not understanding what scale was. And then I was at a meeting at a hotel in Florida. I was meeting with a bank who wanted to buy our loans, and they had their consultant with them. The fellow's name was Jim Renner. And Jim Renner he used to run Wells Fargo Equipment Finance, which is the big boy in our business. And when Jim took over Wells Fargo, the company was doing about $400 million in portfolio size. And when he left, the company was doing $10 billion in portfolio size. He probably has the greatest reputation of anyone in our industry. He's truly the most respected guy in our industry. And we just hit it off. And we had the most wonderful breakfast, and it was a great meeting, and we've ended up doing hundreds of millions of dollars with that bank. But when we were outside the hotel, we were waiting on the cars to be pulled up. And I said, Jim, I really enjoyed getting to know you through these meetings and our time together. He said, man, I really have too. And I said, but I'd be really interested in maybe you coming to do some consulting work for our company. And he said, I was really kind of hoping you'd ask me. He's like, I only keep 4 clients. That's it. I keep 4 relationships at any given time. And I would love to have you as one of those 4. And that's what we did. So I hired Jim Renner, the best guy in our industry, to help me with a 3-year strategic plan. And that 3-year strategic plan was to get the business to $100 million a year. Now, we were doing $36 million a year, and this was 18 years into doing my business. And we built out a 3-year plan, which would have taken me to 21 years in business. We're getting ready to start year 23, so it gives you some perspective on it. And I remember the call like it was yesterday. I'd owned the office building that we were in at the time, and I was in the parking lot, and Jim and I were going over the results of the 3-year strategic plan as it built out on an Excel spreadsheet. And the number at the bottom was a 7-figure net profit number. And I said, something's wrong. It's not possible, Jim, that this business can throw off that kind of net profit. I just literally couldn't believe that it was possible. And Jim told me the best advice I ever heard. He said, you're looking at the wrong number. You're missing the most important section of that spreadsheet, which is the middle. If you can get the middle right, Matt, the execution of the sales growth, the execution of the client retention, and the new relationships, and the marketing effort, and operational efficiencies, and new facilities, got to sell the building and go get new offices, and the hiring process to get the right people. If you can get that right, the bottom line net profit number is just a math problem. I never forgot that. I never forgot that scaling your business is really just a math problem. And that the numbers that get thrown off at the bottom, while they might seem so unbelievable to you and completely incomprehensible that you could make that much money, which is what it was for me, they are just a math problem. And so all I did for the next 18 months was focus on the execution of the middle. All the things I just mentioned, the marketing plan, the hiring, the operational efficiencies, selling the building, getting the new facility, all of that sort of stuff. And I just went hell-bent for election. And I executed that 3-year strategic plan in 18 months. And we went from $36 million a year to $100 million a year. And that 7-figure net income became a reality. And that changed my life. Everything in my life changed because when I understood scale and the importance of growing my business, and then I had the balls to go ahead and execute on the plan with relentlessness, grit, and intensity, and a requirement of the team being together for this mission, we did it. You got to do the same in your business. Your business isn't big enough. You don't have scale. You're still too damn small to get rich. You have to have employees. You have to have facilities and systems and equipment and processes to be able to grow a business. Because if you get that right, people will want to come and work for you. Because not everybody wants to be the boss. Some people want to be an employee of a great company and be incredibly valued and well compensated for that job. And they want to go home at 5 o'clock. And they don't want to worry about it on the weekends. Not everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. So don't buy into that bullshit that you can't find good help, and good help is hard to find. It is hard to find, but it's out there if you build it right. I mean, I don't want to use that old cliche thing that says if you build it, they will come, but it's kind of true. You sometimes, as the boss, you've got to build it. You got to put the cart in front of the horse sometimes. And when you do that, you may have to take a little pay cut for yourself. You might have to take a financial step backwards to take 2 steps forward. But if you can build the plan by picking the number, we talked about that on a previous podcast. You should go back and listen to that podcast called Picking Your Number. But once you pick that number and you focus on the middle, the execution part, the bottom is just the math problem. But you have to scale the business. There is no glamour in small business anymore. Don't be fooled by that. You might be able to make a decent living for yourself, but if you want to get rich and make more money, you have to have a business that scales, gets bigger, more revenue growth, and yes, more expenses and potentially more headaches if you do it wrong. But if you do it right, something magical happens. The bigger your business gets, the smaller the problems become, because you got revenue to fix the problems quickly. But the problems are huge when you don't have revenue to buy yourself out of problems, to be able to give a severance to a guy who needs to go. So you got to keep the guy there because you're desperate for his revenue. What a horrible place to be. But I was there for a long time. So the challenge on today's quick podcast is you got to understand that it is time to scale your business. You must get bigger. You have to create the strategic plan. If you can do it yourself, great. If not, you got to hire somebody to help you with it. And that's going to cost you a few bucks. But if they're smart and they're well respected, and by the way, you should pick the very best person you can get your hands on to help you with that, and make sure that they have achieved more than you have before you say yes to them. And then it's your job to just execute on the plan. And if you do it big enough and you do it right and well enough, the results will make you rich. I appreciate you listening to this episode of You Need More Money podcast. The book comes out March of 2018. Share the podcast with your friends. Do me a favor, subscribe. Check on Matt Manero on all social media platforms. And until the next time we talk, I'll see you down the road.